Danny. I gave him a list of bullet points that I wanted to talk about. He looked at them and he told me, "Do you feel it's the time, Jose?" And I was like, "Yeah, Danny, it's the time. It's time." And then, okay, let's talk about that. So, yep, we have lots to talk about today. We are going to wait maybe another 1 minute or two more, and then we'll get started. What I want you guys to do right now, while we wait for more people, is to start thinking about questions that you have about the Tufa, because I'm looking forward to actually answering some of them today as well. Of course, I have a whole agenda, let's say, for us to go through. But yeah, I want to also give you guys the opportunity to participate here today, to share your questions about the Tufas, because, man, after the Usturs, the Tufas are the coolest beings in Star Atlas, in my opinion. And I'll even drop an alpha right now and say that Season 0, the first big chapter of Star Atlas Unreal world, will be all about Tufas and Usturs. So yes, lots to cover today. I'm super happy that this is going to be the case. I'll be talking about some things that are going to happen even in that far distant future. So yeah, we are going to have fun. We are going to have fun today. Um, Also, before we get started, make sure to get a glass of water. I got some here, but I need to refill because I know I'll be talking for a long while. So I'll be back in 45 seconds.
Get some water, man. Already answer me the important questions. What is wrong with the suit, that Usto suit? Why it has two different colors? It's actually the suit I just posted, and there's a version of it. It's in red, an anomaly suit. Hmm.
Are they both anomalous or?
Yeah, yeah. I posted it in Foundation Room. So, did you see that? Like, there's like a few of them are red now, and I think it's newly minted ones. So I'm not really sure. It's a suit 514 or something. You can search for it in Tensor.
Interesting.
It's super interesting, man, because I'm collecting suits and things and stuff, and so now there's this suit showing up if it in a different color. What's going on? Cannot do that to me.
I'm back. What's wrong, Vibi?
No, 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 just Usto talk. Usto is more important too, I would say. But yeah, I mute myself.
No worries, friend, no worries. So I hope everyone is ready, comfortable on their seats, because right now we'll start talking about the tufa. This is a species that I feel like the tufa are the species that we have least spoken about in the whole history of Star Atlas. And there is good reason for that, because the tufa, they are perhaps the most important species, individually speaking, in Galia expanse. Depending who you ask, or for the perspective that you are taking, the Tufas might even be the protagonists of Star Atlas. So yeah, I'm super excited to start talking about the Tufa, their lore, their society or culture, the different types of Tufas, and maybe even share some glimpses of the future. So, I would like to start by talking about the origin and nature of the tufa. Mustache is asking if all his questions be answered. I don't know, Mustache. Maybe a few of them. I don't know. let's see how the shows goes. I don't know if I'm allowed to answer all your questions, but I'm sure that I'll be able to answer at least some of them. So the first thing that we should talk about when we're talking about Tufa is their creation and composition. The Tufa are metagenic creatures born during the creation of Iris. Guys, they are like a unique blend of mechanical and mineral components with some, let's say, ingredient X, which makes them complex and formidable beings. Uh, their bodies, they they have a mineral composition, so they are inherently resilient, and they have the ability, of course, to infest technologies from diverse civilizations. This is one of their coolest stuff, and one of the reasons that they are so feared across the galaxy. Of course, the Tufa also have a deep connection to Iris. Today, I'm going to explain a little bit of how this connection works. I'm not giving all the details, but something to get your imaginations and curiosity sparked. The primary relationship that happens between the connection between the tufa and the iris is that the tufa, all the tufas, feed on the free energy generated by iris. It is essential for their survival. This energy sustains their mineral components, allowing them to maintain their physical form and power their mechanical aspects. Due to this reliance on Iris energy, the Tufa cannot remain away from her influence for longer periods of time. Uh, Simpler Tufa, the, let's say, low class Tufa here, and when I say low class Tufa, I'm making a very broad generalization because you guys will see that this is not that simple. They are created with less genism. Genism, as you guys know, is the most rare, most vital resource in Galia Expanse. It can only be found in the Cataclysm. It's generated by Iris, and it's like a form of crystallized energy. That's the most general explanation that I can give right now because I can't get into details of that because that's super important for the future of the lore. But depending on your class of tufa, depending on your tufa type, let's say it like that, you are born, you are created with different degrees of genism. And these degrees, this quantity, this purity of the genism that you have in your constitution, uh, these, this besides lots of different things that I'll touch right now, one of the main aspects of this quantity and purity of genism that the tufa has determines how long they can stay away from iris influence without any other, let's say, source of power that enacts the same charge of feeding feature that iris influence uh, gives the tufa. Uh, One thing, I think someone tried to talk. Was that the case, or I can go on? I'll take this as a no. So yeah, will Tufa die? I'll answer a few questions here, and then we move fast because I want to talk. We have lots to talk about today. Will Tufa die in the safe zone? Mustache, I'll blow your mind with the things that I'm going to talk about. So I'll answer super quickly now. Yes, if the Tufa, like especially lower class Tufa, if they don't have deposit of genism, if they don't have something that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, they will wither away. They will literally become like water and drop down and die. if without the influence of Iris or direct exposure to Geonesian reserves. Do Tufa have babies? Shaddix is asking. Yes, this is one of the major things. I mean, it's not babies, but you understand very soon how this work. Empress, Onsa Tufa is completely devoid of Geonesian. It's gone beyond redemption, you know. It's simply gone. Its existence is erased, and it simply ceased to exist. Someone try to talk now? I don't think so. So let's move on. And now things starts getting interesting, because now I'm going to tell you how the Tufa society works. Tufa, when we say Tufa, it's like the problem here is that during the Convergence War, the factions had nearly no knowledge about the Tufa. So anything that resembled that crazy shining rocks that attacked Gion and the others during the events of Core, for example, they are called Tufa. But if you research the Tufa, you understand that they are not a single uniform species. Like the Tufa have billions. When we not billions, but when we talk about Tufa, we are talking about thousands, maybe millions of combinations of different types of Tufa. And I'll explain how this works. Each Tufa spawns from another, tracing back to some primordial Tufas, the first Tufas that were born. And right now, I call them Titans. These Titans, they are, and why the reason I call them Titans right now internally is because they are singularities, extremely powerful beings, comparable to Titan ships in terms of power on their own. And at the beginning of the formation of Iris, each one of those Tufa Titans created their own broods to reflect their personality and traits. And each one of those broods, they have different types of Tufa among them. Today, I'm going to share with you guys one of the name and aspects of, not all aspects, but at least an overview to get you guys, to tease you guys a little bit, which is the Shabok brood. I'll write the name in the chat just a bit. And each one of those Titan Tufas, they create their own brood. And what they do is that they use their own reserves of Geonesian to create overseers of this brood. Those Tufas, they have a sense of awareness. They are also extremely strong. They act like enforcers of the Tufa Titan will, and they follow their leads and personality, creating lower level Tufas all the way to the Tufa's small rocks that infest stuff like happened in Yozia's ship on Core. So different broods of Tufas will have different abilities, different types of Tufa, different unique traits, different forms. So I really like this design because this opens the door for us to create some wild encounters for you guys with the Tufa, depending on the type of Tufa brood that you guys find in the high risk zone. Another very interesting stuff is that only Titan class Tufa and high ranking awakened Tufa, like those overlords, like those commander type class Tufa, can synthesize Geonesian. Like, just the Titan Tufas can synthesize Geonesian. a process that requires proximity to iris and significant time. And this ability, this natural, let's say, uh, biological undercodes trait of the Tufas, is what allows a Titan Tufa to control their brood. High-ranking Tufas must replenish their Dionysian supplies either by returning to the Titan Tufa or by devouring other Tufas or finding natural Dionysian veins. So this creates, guys, a relationship between the Titan Tufas and their brood, which resembles kind of the medieval system in Europe on the medieval ages. The Titan Tufas are like kings, which provides Dionysian to the lords, and the lords, the commanders Tufas, the overseers, in exchange, they are loyal and they control the brood. They go outside of the zone of the cataclysm and enact the order and the different wills of the Tufa Titan. As I said, different broods have different classes of Tufa, and just to give you guys an example here, one of the broods, not Shabak, he's a very chaotic being, like this Titan that's the leader of this brood. And no single Tufa in his brood is the same. He literally spawns millions of Tufas, diluting his Dionysian reserves over countless beings, and it's like a swarm. It's something absurd, gigantic. Shalbok, which is the name of the Tufa brood that we are going to uncover here today, and that's linked directly with the events of Season 0, he has a totally different approach. He has few classes, very well established classes of Tufas, which are very clear chain of command, and he prioritizes forming highly intelligent and powerful overseers and commanders. So those guys, they will be the ones, they will be the raid boss that you guys will be facing on Yoki during Season 0. Yeah, man, feels good to be finally able to share this kind of stuff with you guys. Any questions about Tufa Titans, Broads, Logic, and things like that? Or I can keep moving, keep going? No one says anything. So either you guys are probably shocked, but I don't know.
Jose, can we expect Titans as the end boss on the Iris Battleground?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah, each one of those broads, Frank Recker, they have their own, let's say, worldviews and agendas. One thing that I can say here is that in Season 0, you guys will be fighting one of those broads. That broad will invade Yoki. I'm pretty much done with the lore of Season 0, and I don't want to spoil many things here. I want to keep it fun. But what's going to happen is that broad specifically has a deep, deep, deep hatred against COP factions.
Oddly specific.
Yeah, very specific. This is due to this Titan Tufa specific lore. During the Convergence War, you guys will uncover those grounds. We'll talk about that later. Shadix, you asked a very interesting question here, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to answer you. But maybe, who knows? I'll say this about your question.
Do we not have to align with them in order to create the ships?
You need Tufa technology in order to create Tufa ships, yes.
But for the blueprints and stuff, yeah, exactly. I think we need reputation with the Tufa then.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Reputation with the Tufa would be more properly explained in lore terms as reputation with a specific Tufa broad. You know?
Ah, gotcha, yeah.
That's the thing here. Each one of the broads, they are their own political, let's say, organization. If we could call them like that, because the Tufa doesn't work like human societies and etc. But yeah, each one of those Tufas, they have their own agenda. Today, I'm going to give you guys more insight over Shalbok. Let me write the name here so I don't forget. Shalbok. He's a very uh, interesting being that I'll explore here just a little bit after I finish uh, the more generic information. So, just doing a recap here, Tufas are metagenic creatures. By nature, they have great ability to manipulate their bodies. They are all connected to Iris because Iris provides them with their, let's say, food, in the lack of a better term, their nourishment. Outside of the direct influence of Iris, directly uh, presence of Iris, Tufa wither and die, unless they are high-class Tufas like the Awakened Tufa. For example, our crew members here that you guys got on crew cards, they are Awakened Tufa. Uh, they have like more pure Genesian, which is more stable, which allows them to move away from Iris for long periods of time. Tufas are divided in broads. Each one of the broads has their own Tufa Titan with their own personality, their own types of Tufa that he has directly spawned. In a sense, guys, you can think the Tufa, the ones that have awareness, not all Tufas have awareness, just high ranking Tufa have awareness. And even so, this awareness, most of the time, of course, this depends on the broad, but most of the time only serves for them to be able to do more complex tasks. But they are guided, they are controlled by the Titan and the direct, let's say, overseers of the Tufa broad. There is the system of control using Dionysian, which the Tufa Titan gives to the Tufa high-ranking individuals to perform tasks that they need to perform. And each one of the Tufa broads has their own logics. Now, I'm going to move into how one of the most interesting features of the Tufa works, which is infestation. The Tufas, the Photoli have the ability to manipulate light once they have ascended, and the Tufa works on a different manner. Tufas are able to infestate and assimilate technological components. Like any technological device, the Tufa are able to share a part of their Dionysian into them, pretty much corrupting the structure and infesting it. Higher ranking Tufas, which have larger deposits of Dionysium, they are able to retain their bodies and while parting with their Dionysian reserves. Lower level Tufas, the ones that have like at the lowest levels of the rank, they basically fuse themselves with the mechanical structure that they are ordered to infest, and they cease existing or they become something new, depending on how do you see this. This allows the Tufa this creates a modus operandi for the Tufa, like general, independently of the brood. The Tufa will always seek to build their colonies by infesting and repurposing other species' technologies. And they do this in order to empower themselves and empower, assimilate other cultures, technology, structures, and things like that. This is also one of the reasons why in Season 0, Shalbok chose Yoki to be the first size of attack from his Tufa brood. You guys will learn this during the quest, but Shalbok has great ambitions in the low risk zone. And if Shalbok is successful, the Tufa will have a massive foothold in Galia Expanse safe zone, which will allow them to bypass the biggest weakness of the Tufa right now, which is the necessity to be directly exposed to Iris. Another very interesting thing about the Tufa infestation and overall metagenic mechanics is that Tufas can also fuse or absorb each other. It is super common for high-ranking Tufas to simply go and absorb smaller Tufas when they need to refill their deposits, or they need to do something that requires them to use much of their reserves and things like that. I'll give you a spoiler of how this can work. For example, when we'll have some Tufas in Season 0 among the Shalbok brood, that they are enormous beings, really big beings that were created totally for destroying huge pieces of infrastructure, laying siege to cities, etc., etc. And this specific Tufa of the Shalbok brood, it has the ability that once a part of this Tufa is destroyed, this part that is destroyed automatically becomes smaller class Tufas. So you destroy a piece of him, and he starts spawning more Tufas, that spawn more Tufas, that spawn more Tufas. This is an example of how the individualities of the different broods work. This is something that the Shalbok brood can do. This is a innate, let's say, ability of this type of Tufa that works on this specific Titan. So yeah, this allows us to go crazy and create some very interesting boss fights for you guys, because what I'm talking about now will make into the game. Those, especially this class of Tufa, yes, but you guys can expect in the battle of Yoki, to free Yoki, the enormous boss battles with Tufas, let's say, I'm doing here an analogy, but lieutenants of the Tufa invasion, all the way to fighting the very first sons of Shalbok. Each one of them are unique existence. Each one has very singular, different abilities. And it's going to feel like World of Warcraft raid bosses, you know? And some of those battles might even happen in space. Others will happen on ground. And others will happen on ground and in space at the same time. So yeah, we are cooking some cool stuff for you guys.
Jose, quick question if I may. So is Aoki being completely overrun by Tufa at the start of Season 0, or are they still busy with their invasion?
Season 0, I'm not sure if I can spoil this, but okay, just a small spoiler. When Season 0 starts, it has been ugly, let's say, 5 to 6 days since the Tufa infestation happened in Yoki, since the Tufa arrived in Yoki. So it's not completely overrun. The planet's not completely overrun. But Shalbok, and here is where I probably should start talking about Season 0 and Shalbok overall. Shalbok is a master strategist. Yoki, as the capital of the Ustur, it has it is the most well defended, and here I'm talking about defensive structures, right? It's perhaps the most well defended spot besides the cradle, the Council of Peace cradle, in Gallia's safe zone. The Ustur, and the reason why is because Aoki is extremely important for the Ustur. It's not just a planet that serves as their capital. The Usturs need Aoki to survive, to procreate, and it's the heart of the civilization. Elder Spire, the place where the Ustur's elders live, is there. The temple beneath the capital of the Usturs has the pool where the core of the Usturs are created. It's the only place in the galaxy where the cores of Usturs can be created. So the existence of the Ustur is extremely linked with Aoki. Due to this reason, the Usturs created what is called the Visus belt around Aoki. It's a chain of fortress that goes all the way to Shariput, which is the main moon of Aoki, that protects, like a belt, Aoki from attacks. Shalbok is a 1,000-year-old existence. He had lots of hatred for the COP factions, as I said, but more than that, Shalbok is extremely smart and strategic. He thinks about everything. He has been planning this invasion since the Convergence War. And what he does, I won't give you guys all the spoilers, but Shalbok, he made a plan to disable the 3 very fundamental pieces of the Ustur defense system. He managed to disable the star path on Ustur first system. He managed to bring down the planetary defenses for 1 whole day. And he managed to... I won't reveal the third thing, because the third thing is super epic and it's linked with how the whole Season 0 event will happen. So what happens here from Cracker, and here's the vision that I want you guys to see, is that what he did was he disabled the Visus belt, this chain of fortress that's defends Aoki. And what he did was he dove with thousands and millions of Tufas to the surface of Yoki. The Usturs managed to, let's say, restart the defense system on, let's say, secure mode, like the bare minimum things. So what happened was 2 battlefronts were created. The one on ground, which has only the population of Aoki and the troops that exist there, and there is a planetary siege all around the Aoki, where the Tufas they are attacking and trying to suppress the planetary system so they can bring reinforcements to the Tufa on ground. This is the scenario that you guys are going to face when season 0 starts. Like, all this chaos is going on, and I am BB. I am super hyped about this. And man, the different groups of Galia, when they learn about this, the whole galaxy goes in chaos mode. Because the Council of Peace now has to take care of many different fronts. Everyone that wanted to steer chaos and grab a slice of the pie, let's say of the galactic order, starts acting. Like, I'll give you guys an example. Like, the Jorvik were super mad when the Council of Peace started kicking their ass in the medium risk zone. Now they use this distraction to go after high-priced locations, planets, and starts raiding. The Ecos, they have a specific growth. I'm not sure if I shared this with you guys yet, but the Ecos, they are a decentralized political group, and they are divided by what we call groves. Those groves, they have political autonomy, and one of the most radical and crazy groves of the Ecos is called the Balifa Grove. The Balifa Grove sees this giant alien army of creatures warping from the high-risk zone all the way to Aoki. They see this and they say, look at this. Mother Nature is finally taking revenge on the crazy faction infidels. And they join the fight trying to help the Tufa. You know? So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Like, we have lots of political things happening. Right now, I have finished my first 35 pages of quests with dialogues, with ramifications, and the feeling that I want to convey during those quests, the logic that we want to convey, is that you guys and everyone in Galia is fighting to make sure that the Aoki isn't infested and simply overwhelmed, you know? I want to share so many things, but I can't. I need to stay steady. Senti told me that I should be steady today because there is lots of alpha in my mind and I can spoil something that I shouldn't. So I'll go back. I already deviate myself a little bit. I'll go back to the Tufa and talk a little bit more about Shabok and his brood. So yeah, Shabok as a Titan, as I said, his brood, he's highly organized and tactical oriented. They have a small variety of Tufas compared to other broods. It's not like there's only 5 types of Tufa, but other broods have lots and lots and lots of more variety. But they are extremely synergetic and orderly. Like they are nearly Chinese army level of coordination doing parades. You know, they are much better than that. Actually, they are absurdly well coordinated. And Shabok focus when he was building his brood was creating very strong, very smart, very capable leadership. So he has 5 direct sons, and those 5 direct sons are leading directly on ground and in space the infestation of Yoki. Each one of them is by themselves like a commander class ship, powerful, like he's like a commander class ship by themselves. And when they get together, but the thing is that they are tacticians, they are not even the most PvP, let's say, oriented Tufa. But when they are with their broods, those guys, they have like another scale of power. And their unique trait is that each one of them has unique capabilities that they are able to share to some extent with their direct, the Tufa direct under their control. So this will create massive ground battles, quests where players need to coordinate very, very well to take down control points in Aoki and things like that to start cleaning the Tufa infestation. And here's the thing. Shalbok Brood capitalizes on compounding. If you guys leave the control points, the places that Shalbok is ruling or he's attacking in Aoki, it might make everything extremely hard to overturn. If you let Shalbok Brood get momentum, this will make the defense of Aoki extremely, extremely harder.
Just a quick question, if I may. I'm not sure if you can answer, but can I imagine this to be like a static? I assume just to set expectations that this is like a static quest, raid, dungeon kind of setup, like the early days of World of Warcraft, right? There's not going to be like an ever-changing world where your actions change the world the next day, or at least for you, or will there be? Perhaps it's too early a question for you. I don't know. I'm just curious.
No, the problem is that I know the answer, Frank Recker.
You
The
do?
thing is, I know, but I'm not
Damn.
sure if I can answer.
Okay, no worries.
I'll be probably killed by game design if I answer that. I'll let them. I won't be stealing anyone's spotlight here. Sorry, but what I can tell you is that everything that we do in Star Atlas is aimed to make your actions feel meaningful, right? I mean, the economy is driven by you guys. So it would make sense for us to create a system of quests and conflicts and battles that will be somewhat or somehow impactful on the world of Star Atlas, right? Just
Agreed.
penguin theory crafting here, let's say. So yeah, guys. Let's see what else I can say. Yeah, I can tell you guys also about. Can I? Let's see. Okay, I told you guys. Okay. So yeah, anyone has questions? I feel like I spoke too much already. So I feel like we should devote those last minutes here for questions. When can I mesh? Mustache has a question. When can I mesh all my files together into a few Tufa spirits? That's a great question, Mustache. And this rolls together with what we have been talking about infestation and fusion. Mustache, it is extremely harder for a Tufa to fuse and create something that's better than himself in terms of quality. So for example, if you want to use Tufa Feists to create a Tufa spirit, first, I can't go too much in the specific here, but you need someone among the Tufa that first knows how to do this. So only a very high and maybe not even all broods of Tufa would have awakened Tufa and Commander Tufas that are capable enough to guide their brood to fuse and form together a Tufa spirit from Tufa spirit from Tufa Fice. The other way around is much easier. Let's say if you want to create Tufa Fice from a Tufa spirit, it's a lot easier on everyone involved. Let's say it like that. Another thing that in let's say that makes it hard for the Tufa to simply not overwhelm everything, fuse everywhere, and simply overwhelm the galaxy is that besides they can't stay away from Iris by default for too long, it's extremely hard to it's extremely costful to use the Dionysian reserves by the Tufas. So you won't see Tufas going like, of course, the lower class Tufas, they are expendable. But even the Tufa Titan takes some time and resources to create a awakened Tufa. He would spend decades of concentrated effort to create a overseer or commander class Tufa sometimes, and this is something actually cool because some broods only have like 5 Tufas. There's one Titan that simply created 5 Tufas, and he concentrated all his efforts on those 5 Tufas. Others, just like Funcracker is posting here, have a more Zerg-like approach that likes to create millions and millions and millions of existences that are not very resilient or capable of much stuff. And each one of the Titans has their own reserves of Dionysium. So they can't simply go spreading all the Dionysium that they have, because this would make them susceptible to attack not only from other Titans, but other beings that exist in the high risk zone. So it's not that easy for the Tufas to go wild, They need to consider their moves, and that's why Shabak has been planning this attack on the safe zone since the Convergence War. Something really, really bad happened with Shabak during the Convergence War, and the guy has a grudge. The guy has a deep rated against the CLP factions. So, yep.
Are there parallels between Shalbak and R?
Shalbak and R?
Yeah, they're both like outliers among their race, and both have their own agendas. We don't know yet, of course, exactly how R, what his agendas are, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like perhaps there is some sort of symmetry here.
That's an interesting thought. But I would say that the Tufa overall, they are different from the Fotoli because each Fotoli, they have a huge degree of autonomy. Like Fotoli usually don't mess with other Fotoli plans. They are highly individualistic and only converge for, let's say, species-wide meetings when something really important happens. The Tufa no. The Tufa, even though they are different broods, they are all connected on their service to Iris, which they see as a mother, and the Tufa Titans as their fathers. So it's much more centralized. So there is this difference between the Tufas. Shalbok, Shalbok in specific, he's not deviating from, let's say, a higher species purpose. Iris, or at least pieces of Iris hold a grudge against their factions, especially against I can't say this, but yeah, complicated relationship. Mustache, when I say brood here, I'm thinking about offsprings. A Tufa Feist is a medium to high class Tuf itself, and morphic shape. That's a Tufa Feist, the ship. But all the Tufas, they start. Not all the Tufas. It depends on the brood, depends on lots of things. I can't go into specific with you guys, otherwise I'll be killed. But Tufas normally will morph and infestate pieces of technology, which will create more stable forms. So, for example, a Tufa Feist is a stable form, or a more stable form than a natural Tufa offspring. This allows them to stay away from Iris, but this destroys their sense of self. This makes them lose most of their metagenic properties and things like that. So it's a trade-off. Whenever the Tufa need to get things done, they use the lower ranking. Like when an overseer needs to do something, get something done, he use the lower rank Tufas to make them into more stable structures or weapons or whatever they need. And this is a trade-off because he's sacrificing Genesium and Tufas to create more stable structures. Did I make sense here? You guys understood what I said here? It writes like this, Schaubach. Photoli are individualistic. Tufa are very structured, connected, and subservient to Tufa Titans and to Iris. Generally, yes. There are exceptions. Like, for example, you guys crew member are Tufas that have escaped, let's use this word, from the direct control of the Titan that originated them. There is some conditions and some situations where this can happen, but your crew member, this will require your relationship with your crew member to be on the highest level possible for them to be even willing to discuss the general situation that causes something like that. It is highly instinctive of the Tufas to not talk about their species, even more secrets about the Titans and Iris and things like that. The ordinary Tufa would rather wither away and die than to do that. Did Ozia take something special from the Tufa, and that's why they hate the Oosters? I won't comment on that, because this is linked with core. So you're saying the Tufa Feist is a sentient Tufa? Not necessarily sentient, but they weren't the low class Tufa. They were like in the middle to upper class Tufa. Not necessarily they had a sense of awareness, but there was some good dose of Genesium in his construction. Can I mesh a Tufa and a Photoli tech together? You can surely try, Mustache. This would be interesting. Although they are naturally repelling components and logic. I guess I shouldn't have. Never mind. Let's just stick with what I say. It's hard to mesh those two types of technology. Question: any news about the key of Iris, or maybe not appropriate at this time? Jonas, you probably at the end of Mustache is laughing at me. You see, Mustache, that's why I rug with the topic of the lore keepers brew. I should have not spoken about Tufas today. I should have spoken about seeds and wine in Galia Expanse. I am too easily baited into spilling alpha. So yeah, at the end of season 0, you guys might learn more about Iris, the Cosmic Currents, Tufa, Fotoli, Ustur lore. You guys will be you guys will be getting more information on that through gameplay. I have many side quests linked with exploration of the lore, which might be useful in the future of the game as well. As you guys know, I really like that. But yeah, I won't be giving details right now, otherwise I will make it too easy for you guys. You guys will have a huge advantage when season 0 starts. Any more questions, guys? We have a few minutes, so feel free to ask your Tufa questions. What are Tufa's favorite food? The free energy of Iris. Tufas don't eat, properly speaking. They get nourishment from Iris. Like, Iris emits a very special kind of radiation, which is actually very important for the Tufas overall, but you guys will learn how this works during season 0. And the Tufa get their energies from there. Can they get fat if a cosmic current is too strong? Yeah, exactly, Mustache. That's what happens. But it's not a big deal for them because they have mutagenic properties, so they can just ditch the extra weight. Tufas are lucky. They don't need to diet to do diets. Any other questions before we close? If Tufa are so much linked to Iris, does Iris aspects have high impact on their behavior? That's a very good question, Ahota. Yes, Iris aspects have high impact on their behavior. Yes. All right, guys. Last question before we close because I have tons of things to do. Oh, man. This brew is not about Iris Bohemian. How do Tufas view relationships to non-Tufa beings? Like friendship relationships? Um, the Tufa, uh, the Tufa overall, they don't think much about the other species. Like Tufas overall, besides the most high level, and here I say the huge brood management, they don't think about things like other species at all. They just stick to Iris, do their jobs, whatever the high level Tufas ask them to do, and that's it. I would say that the relationships of a Tufa with an unknown Gallia citizen depends on the brood that it serves. So, for example, if someone from the Shabok brood sees a Gallia citizen, they will attack them on sight. Like, no questions asked. There are other broods that are more neutral. And here, answering Funcracker's question in the beginning, one of those broods is the one that allows you to develop a relationship and maybe learn a thing or two of how Tufas build their ships and how things work on their society. Yep, I guess this is it, guys. Thank you so much for being here today on this Tufa episode. I hope you guys like it. how the lore of the Tufas and overall season 0 lore alpha. and yeah, let me know. Jonas is asking, what's the next lore keepers episodes? I want you guys to think about what you guys would like to discuss. Let me know here on the chat what species lore should we delve, or what Star Atlas topic you guys would like to talk about in the next lore keepers meeting, and I'll see what I can do. All right? Hope you guys have a good week. Thank you so much for being here, and hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Tan Jose. Good stuff. Really, yeah, awesome.
Thank you, friend. See you guys. Have a good day. Love you guys.